Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show today. I got Joe Pistone, Donnie Brasco, the old movie with I think Al Pacino and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp.
Yep.
So I'm going to be talking with Joe here. We're going to have a good time. He's a great guy, ex-FBI agent, ex-criminal, so this is fun. Before I get started, check us out on the YouTube member programs, Patreon member programs, all the stuff I do. So we're going to have fun. Joe?
Larry?
First of all, we talked and we know a lot of friends. They're friends of ours. I mean, Judge Gale and other guys that we know from Leo and whoever.
Leo Rossi, my partner in my podcast.
Yeah, how is that going?
Actually, it's going pretty good. You know, it's Donnie Brasco. It's really deep cover, the real Donnie Brasco. And it's going pretty good. We did 19 episodes of season 1. And we just started recording season 2, I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay, the movie was great, obviously. I mean, I kind of knew the peripherals of that.
Sure.
You know, I didn't know the in-depths, of course. I mean, you know, that was like, holy shit, when that shit happened. How was the movie to the real thing?
Okay, the book, Donnie Brasco, My Undercover Life in the Mafia, was 100%. And, you know when they transform a book or your real life to a movie, it's 2 hours, so you got 6 years in the 2 hours. I have to say, the movie is probably 85% on the money, which, if you know Hollywood, which I know you do, is...
That's very rare.
It's very, very rare. You know, you're lucky if they spell your name right once they sign you.
Absolutely.
But I was lucky. Barry Levinson, I signed with his company, the director.
Were you a consultant on the movie?
Yes, I was.
So you were there every day watching. What did you think of those guys? Is that, I mean, obviously Pacino and Johnny Depp.
I'll tell you, they were all good guys. I have to say, Al is a terrific guy. Johnny Depp, I mean, he's like, we're still friends to today. In fact, I just talked to him the other day.
Oh, that's great.
And Johnny, he's part of our family, man. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Johnny Depp.
And he went through his troubles.
Yeah.
And I like that. You know, I love a guy, whether it's myself or somebody, who faced adversity and turns it around.
Yeah.
You know?
And not only did he did a hell of a job portraying me in the movie, he took a liking to my whole family, treated everybody with respect, and as I say, our family's still friends with him and his family.
Joe is probably, are you still the longest one that ever went undercover?
Yeah, this was a 6-year undercover operation against the mafia, and it's still the
Bonannos, I think, was it?
The first family I infiltrated actually was at Colombo's.
Oh,
and then,
I didn't know that.
And then I got into beef with 2 guys, and you know how it is. You don't get into a beef with wise guys. Unfortunately, it came to a physical confrontation. And I knew that I could not go to Brooklyn every day and hang out with these guys after a physical confrontation with them.
No, someone's going to do something to make a name for themselves.
Exactly. So I had met a Bonanno guy by the name of Tony Mira. So that's when
I know the name.
Yeah, that's when I left, and I started hanging around with Tony Mira, and then he introduced me to the other Bonannos. So I did the last 5 years with the Bonannos.
Question on it, because what made me intrigued about the movie, because I was a jewel criminal. I was a real jewel robber.
You were one of the best.
The best.
You weren't just a robber.
No, you're right. I robbed 15, 18 million. I was good at my trade. You used that.
Yes, I did.
Did they teach you? Because I mean, I went to the GIA Institute.
Yeah, I went to Zales, actually.
Zales? Who would rob a fucking Zales?
Yeah, because you know, once you have a criminal profession, and if you're lucky enough to infiltrate, you better know your profession.
Absolutely. You get a guy like me coming up and talking to you, you better know what you're talking about. This guy don't know shit about that.
So I took a couple courses at Zales, and then we had a friendly jeweler that I spent time in his back room with his cutter and his watch guys.
Understanding, just getting the periphery. You don't want to know too much either, actually.
No, just so I can have conversations and know what I'm talking about. Look at something with a loop, and well, that you okay, but you have to. Otherwise, look, they're great bullshit detectors. These guys, you know that. These gangsters.
That's one of the things that saved me in prison. to be honest, reading people.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's one of the, I guess, the good things we did.
Yeah.
Certain guys, anyway. There's the morons in there, too. We know
Yeah, of
those.
course.
But you're right. You know, it's funny. And here's a question on that. Did you come up with that yourself, or?
Yeah, the Jewel Thief?
Yeah.
Yes, I did, because, you know, with the feds, you can't commit acts of violence in an undercover capacity unless, you know, you're saving your own life or saving a citizen's life. So if you go in with a profession of violence, you know, if you go in and say, hey, I'm a hitman, well, at some point in time,
They're going to want you to kill somebody.
you're going to have to whack somebody, or if I'm a bank robber, you know, so you try to stay away from a profession where you can carry a gun, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know,
How long did you do in the FBI, Joe?
I did 27 years, actually.
Wow, 27 years.
And
Was this near the end of your career, or was it?
No, I started, actually, I started doing undercover work probably my third, fourth year. And before this 6-year one, I had done all small, you know, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, you know, you meet a bad guy. You
set up a drug deal.
Set up a drug deal. You buy stolen art. You buy stolen stocks, bonds, and then you do the bust. And then I did 1.5 years on a stolen car ring, where
Roy DeMille. That was the crew for cars.
Yeah,
and murders and chopping bodies up.
Yeah, well, we didn't do that.
I know that, of course. But I knew that crew.
Yeah.
You know, they were over in Brooklyn.
They were in Brooklyn, yeah. And what that operation was is that there was a bunch of crew that I was able to infiltrate, and then we went up and down the East Coast, and you would come to us and say, hey, I want a Mercedes-Benz. Okay, Larry, what color you want? All right. What extras you want, Larry? We get all, and then we go out to the Mercedes-Benz dealership and hook the car, and, you know, sell it to you for maybe 20 grand.
Yeah.
We had our own.
Did you have a guy changing the numbers and all that?
Yeah, we had our own shop where we changed the numbers.
The VIN numbers,
did the
work.
VIN numbers, did the plates. We had the whole McGilla going. So I did that for 1.5 years.
You know what they also did with those? They put them on boxcars and they sent them overseas.
Yeah, well, that was before that.
Okay.
I mean, this was strictly. And you'd be surprised who bought these cars.
Oh, I won't be surprised.
Well, you won't, but
yeah, tell them.
I can't mention because it was
not names. I don't mean names, but you companies, influential people, everything.
Yeah, you know, people that were big deals in big companies, you know, and I mean,
everyone wants a bargain.
They had to know because you know, an $80,000 Mercedes I'm selling to you for 20 grand. I mean.
Well, why? What am I, a nice guy? You know what I mean?
But I want to say one thing, and for those of you who have seen the movie, and those of you who are hopefully going to see the movie, it's on
everywhere. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's called Donnie Brasco.
Yeah, Donnie Brasco. And I have to mention this, Larry. There's a scene in there where I slapped my wife.
I do remember that.
That never happened.
Good. You know.
That never.
It's
happened.
funny you had to say that because, you know, as a guy who's married twice, my wives are great friends of mine. I never ever lifted a hand to my or any woman. I don't need to prove that I could beat up a woman. Anybody who does that, I want to beat the shit out of myself. And you just look at me.
I mean, and it's funny because that wasn't in the original. That wasn't in the script.
Yeah, they did. They call that creative licensing.
Well, you know, look, you've been on movies and everything. The director's the captain of that ship, and what happened was on the day I get to the set, and you know, and I see this rehearsal, and it's like, whoa.
I never hit my wife.
That ain't gonna happen. So I got into a big rigmarole with the director, but you know.
They run the ship.
They run the show. They run the ship. You know.
And especially in a movie like that, that was a real. That was like I call it a A-list. That was a big time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a B movie. That's a big
look,
time.
You got Johnny Depp, A-list actor. Al Pacino, A-list actor. You had Michael Madsen at the time was an A-list actor. Jimmy Russo at the time was a B, but moving up to the A. You had Bruno Kirby. I mean,
you had great, and they all killed it. I mean, I gotta say, the acting in that movie.
Yeah.
With Pacino as Lefty, I think it was. And,
Yeah, he should have won the Academy Award.
He should have won. He really should have. So now you go undercover for 6 years. How much stress did that put on you? I mean, really. I mean, I'm thinking about that. And, you know, I understand stress pretty well. I've been to prison. I've been this. I always worried about who's going to kill me because I'm making money. You know, they'll take me. That's why I had to be associated with a family, because otherwise they would have took me off the streets.
Yeah,
you know how it works.
Of course.
How does stress feel?
You know, Larry, I never felt, I don't feel stress. I mean,
You're blessed.
I don't know why. I mean, it's just, I never did. You know, I played ball, and it didn't make any difference if I went up when I was playing basketball, who I was going up against. I was playing my game. You know what I mean? And I think what helped me a lot too was my upbringing, growing up in Patterson, knowing guys that were
gangsters.
That were gangsters and weren't. But I never felt the stress. I never felt uncomfortable. Now, maybe that's a funny thing, but
a little bit. Because how about your wife?
Well, that's the only thing that bothered me, was I was away so often, and I got a great wife. She raised 3 kids. All of them turned out good. All of them college education, beyond college.
Good for you.
And I think another thing too is what I tell when I teach undercover classes. I want to know why you're here. I want to know why you're here. Why are you in this undercover class? Why do you want to do undercover? Well, I'm going through a divorce.
Bad move. Out the
You're
door.
out of here. I don't get along with my supervisor. I don't want anybody that's running away from anything. And I didn't do undercover because I was trying to get away from a home situation, or I was trying to get away from an office situation. I did it because the first couple of operations I did, I was good.
Did they just throw you in it, kind of deal? Like did they say, hey, anybody want to go do this buy, and you did it, kind of deal?
Yeah,
and then
because in the beginning, and sure, and I felt comfortable talking to gangsters and shit because
you grew up with them.
I grew up
you grew
with
up with them. It's a lot different.
So I was always comfortable. I was always comfortable around the wise guys. I mean, it never bothered me that it was me and 10 killers sitting around a table playing gin.
Gin. That's all we played. Gin rummy.
Right.
Yeah.
Gin rummy. So
and it never made you. I mean, in the back of your mind, you got, and you know them because you know their records. You know every. I mean, obviously that's your job.
They're all.
And they're all true killers, like you said. Whatever.
They all whacked at 10,
did somebody
15 whacks.
I mean, something crazy, and I know. And did that ever put I know I got to do something? Did you carry a gun?
No.
Never.
The only time I carried a gun was it was a war within the Bonanno family. One side, Rusty Rostelli at the point was our boss. He was in the can. The side I was with Rusty. There were 3 other capos and their crew that didn't like Rusty. They wanted to take over the family. So if you saw
the
in the
Colombo
movie,
Wars,
if you saw the movie, the side I was with whacked the 3 captains. That's the only time. Then I got a contract to whack a guy that didn't show. And Sonny Black, my capo, gave me a.
It's in the movie too.
It's in the movie,
Yeah.
That's the only time I carried a gun.
Did it? I mean, you guys had. I remember in the movie, you can't do it.
Yeah.
We got to kill this and this, and you played it. I mean, they had you play it very well.
Yeah, well, in New York, he sends me to Miami. He says, we think he's in Miami. The guy's name was Bruno. We think he's in Miami. Go down to Miami. So I go, and we had a plan. If I see him, I call the FBI. They snatch him, and we stage a hit.
Right. Do the whole makeup, the bullshit.
Yeah, you stage a hit. But we never found them.
Did you ever wear wire?
What I wore, a mini cassette recorder. I went to.
You actually had a cassette recorder?
No, the small one.
Shit, back in the day, you click the button on the side and the little things go around.
I went to Radio Shack.
And you carried this with you?
Well, every once in a while, I put it in my sport coat.
Were you worried about getting shit patted down?
Well, that's why I never wore a wire.
Did anybody ever find that on you?
No. And I didn't wear that all the time.
Did you ever get patted down?
All the time. look, you know the.
See, I wasn't patted down.
But you know how Italian the gangsters are. Every time you go to the club, you gotta hug your capo.
Everybody,
You give them 2 kisses. You gotta hug all the guys.
Buy it
the
around
crew,
a drink.
You know, the whole crew. So when I would bring the recorder, is if I knew that I was going to get into a conversation of I knew when Sonny Black called me that he was going to give me the contract.
Oh, you knew? You just felt it, or you kind of wording?
I felt it because I was supposed to be on the cleanup crew of the hit.
You could have been the first FBI ever made.
I was the first one ever, the only one ever proposed for membership.
That's what I meant, proposed, but you weren't inducted. But you're right, you could have been.
Yeah, and they shut the operation down because of the war between the.
You know, in the movie, you kind of wanted to keep going, is what at least they portrayed. Did you?
Yeah, well, yes, I did. Only because I had spent so many years there, Larry, and then I proposed for membership in the mafia. I mean, can you? And
can't even imagine it, to be honest with you.
My argument to my bosses were, can you imagine the embarrassment? I mean, we're going to kick their ass now, but can you imagine it comes out that they made
an FBI
agent?
You know, obviously, when you got out of the operation, there probably had to be a hit on you.
Yeah, they put $500,000 on me.
Okay, and obviously, we all know how that works. And I always say it's not about the crew coming to get you. It's the wacko kid who sees you, wants to make a name for himself. Oh, I saw that guy, kill him, whether I get caught or not. He thinks he's a big shot.
It's the Indian.
Yeah, he's that the crazy guy.
The guy that says, "Hey, I hit Donnie Brasco."
Right, I'm the one who killed that guy who was in there. Because people ask me on my channel, they say, "You're going to interview him?" I said, "Absolutely, I respect him." Yeah. And they go, "What do you?" I said, "Listen, he did his job. Yeah. That guy did his job. And those guys were the morons."
Yeah.
I mean, really.
And you know something? I but I'm friends with somebody that's our friend. I don't want to mention his name on the.
No, you're not.
And he was a pretty big
guy.
Big gangster.
I know who he is.
You know who he is. I mean, he's both our friends.
Right.
I've been friends with him over 20-some years, and you know, he said to me, he said, Joe, he said, the reason that the timers respect you now, is because you never flaked anybody. You never did anything to make us do anything that we want to do anyway.
No, absolutely. You didn't set up a phony shit or something and do something to make them do it. I know exactly what you mean, and I do agree with that.
And to go one step further, Sonny Black, who was a capo, right?
Yeah.
He at one time
he got whacked over this.
He got whacked over it, and Sonny was my capo. I got very close with him. Now you talk about gangsters. That's a gangster. That's a gangster, and I'll tell you why. I don't know if you know this story. When it all comes out who I am, right? They finally decide. In the beginning, they thought the FBI had kidnapped me and was trying to turn me. Then finally, when everybody starts getting served papers and everything, they realize that he was an undercover agent. Sonny Black gets a phone call. You got to come to a sit down.
You know what that is?
Now, Sonny Black had introduced me to other mafia bosses. Now, you know what that is.
Yeah, that's a friend of ours.
He goes to into his bar. And if you saw the movie, Ruggiero did this, but it was...
Right, you're right. Really, it was Al Pacino did that.
Yeah, but it was really Sonny Black. Gives the diamond ring to his bartender. Takes all his money out of his pocket. Gives it to the bartender. Takes all the keys off his key ring except the keys to his car, his Cadillac. Gives it to the bartender and said, I'm going to a sit down and I'm probably not coming back.
And he didn't.
That's a gangster. Then he calls his girlfriend.
His Gumara. He was married as well too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we all have both.
Hey, look, that's
yeah.
And if you read the book, I never put anything in there about extracurricular.
Right.
It's none of my business.
You did a great job. Again, again, that was the respect then.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hit job.
No.
It was what it was, and it was great work. You beat them at their own game.
Yeah.
Call it what it is.
And he calls his girlfriend and tells her the same story. And he says, if I don't, he said, I want you to reach out for Donnie and tell him that I loved him and he just beat us. He was better than we were.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a true story.
That's a true story.
And that's the guy who got whacked over it.
Yeah, she called the FBI and said, I want to talk to Donnie Brasco. So they took her down to Washington. We went out to dinner and she relayed that.
Oh, you actually,
She relayed that story to me.
Is that something? That is a gangster.
I mean,
That's a guy who lived by the code, died by the code. He didn't, today, it's funny.
You know what? Here's guys I got respect for, Larry. I'm talking about in the mafia, right? Knew he was gonna, right? John Gotti. Did he ever crack? Dies at what, 101?
Oh yeah, Sonny. Oh yeah.
Sonny?
Oh, 101 years old.
He was in the can when he was 90, right?
It's fucking crazy.
Never cracked.
Never cracked.
I mean, you talk about gangsters.
Doesn't get better.
All told, when all the trials I was in, I think that it adds up to like 247.
You put 200. Well,
but they weren't Joe shit the rag man on the street.
Right.
These were, guys that deserved to be there. But you know how many guys that I met that were just hustling, and they weren't hitmen. They weren't robbing,
Yeah, they were
robbing
getting
with a gun.
some shit out of the fucking truck, selling out of a car to make a few bucks.
Yes, I know, I always see these guys in my mind. They were married, they got a couple kids, and like you say, they might have been boosting a package off the back of a truck, taking.
Yeah, trying to hustle.
I never put their names down anywhere.
That's respect. Because you knew they weren't the player. They're not making a difference that's really hurting the crime.
They weren't.
Or they're not whacking people like you said.
No.
They're not fucking doing the big score. You would have got me back then. Then you would have, and you would have been. You would have been 100% to get me. Obviously, the guy who got me, Matt Mullen, and I respect him a lot. And he was straight up with me. How can't you ever get mad at the guy who did his job and got me a thing?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why the FBI was so respected. I mean, I can remember, I was watching a movie the other day, and the FBI goes in and they tear up an apartment and shit on a search. Let me tell you something. Any gangster or any crook that you talk to, you ask them who they would rather have them come and do a search of your house.
Oh, they're gonna all say the FBI.
We never tore up anybody's house.
Never, because you knew what you were going for. First of all, listen, I'll tell you straight, when I got arrested, the FBI, helicopters, the fucking thing, marshals, everybody, they didn't even put the, matter of fact, when I got arrested, because I had the mayor, I had everybody, the police, nobody knew. I mean, when they came into my house, they had a warrant for me, extra money, diamonds, or any kind of jewels, mechanic stuff. They did a cursory look, I gotta say. They didn't even find my safe, but they didn't tear my house up at all.
Never.
They got me, it was over, and I gotta respect that. I never thought about that.
I never was on a search where we didn't leave that house as neat as when we went in.
Right. Because it wasn't about that. You knew what you were going for anyway. It was either there or it wasn't.
Yeah.
And you knew that. Let's not waste everybody's time.
Exactly.
Again, the FBI always said was the best because they got the money and the resources. Yeah. And here, they really do. You guys recruit. You get the best recruiters, and you get the top of it. And it's got to matter.
It's all
proven.
training too. I mean, a lot of it is the training that you get.
So you now, do you train undercover agents now?
Yeah.
I mean, at Quantico, is that where you go?
Well, we don't do it at Quantico anymore, but wherever they have it around the country. I do a lot of work overseas for the State Department and DOJ. Of course, last year was but I do a lot of
staying active.
Yeah,
good for you.
You have to.
I love that.
It's all keeping your mind straight.
So when you train them, what's one of the things like you said? You first find out why they're there, and if they're fucking no, you get out or whatever, or you tell somebody to get them out. It's not going to be good. But what's the one thing that you say that's the most important to them?
The one thing is that this is not your. When I say profession, this is not why you became an FBI agent, a cop, a customs agent. You became into that agency to conduct overt investigations. Okay, don't think that you should be here doing undercover for your whole career, because and again, what we do is I run it through real life scenarios. In other words, every scenario is one that has happened to an undercover agent, and that's how you. And it's amazing.
Have you ever lost undercover agents? I mean, has the FBI and people?
We had one agent killed, and I think the reason why it's only been one in so many years is because of our training. And we psychologically test them. You got to get psychologically tested to get into the program.
Well, to see even how much he's in this lifestyle that it's gonna keep mushroom into.
Yeah.
Maybe he likes it.
Every 6 months they get psychologically tested. So and I think that's the reason being that we've only lost one.
Because I always think about obviously as a guy who was a criminal, my thing is I love people. Oh, he has tattoos. He's not an FBI agent. Bullshit. They recruit that guy that's got the fucking looks like a street guy. If he's a biker, he's got to look like a biker. If he's a meth guy in Tennessee, he can't be a Brooklyn guy.
As long as you got your 4-year college degree and you can pass the test. And let me tell you something. It's no easy test. I mean, it's not like
to get into the FBI.
Oh yeah, at one time it was like 1 out of every 5,000.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, the
creme de la creme.
The applicants, they get a ton of applicants.
What school did you go to?
I went to Stanton Military Academy, and then I went.
Where was that?
It was in Virginia.
Is that big one? That's I'm thinking of Virginia.
No, you're thinking about the Citadel.
VGI, right.
And then I went to William Patterson University in New Jersey.
Did you get recruited for the FBI? Like, did they come recruit people?
Yeah, what I did was when I got out of college, I went into naval intelligence, and you work closely with the FBI. So the agents, in fact, I was stationed in Philadelphia, and I worked closely with the Philadelphia office, and the guys I worked with recruited me.
You make Philly. I used to walk the track with Nicky Scarfo.
Oh, is that right?
Fucking crazy fuck. He used to sit and tell me about it. I did law work for 10 years. So we'd be walking the track. Nicky was a crazy little fuck. He'd say, I'm going to beat them. And I'm thinking, this guy killed 30 fucking people and a federal judge, and he thinks he's getting out of fucking prison.
You're still in the camp.
He thinks he's getting out. I mean, he thought he was going to get out, Nicky. I mean, he was a little crazy motherfucker. And because, they put me on the, like you said, the diesel because I wouldn't rat. They did their own. And I went to the penitentiaries from Lewisburg. They looked at me in Lewisburg and said, you're going to Atlanta? When Atlanta was the worst penitentiary in the system. This is 96. They go, you're going to Atlanta? What would you piss off? Fucking, only white guy in fucking Atlanta, that's for sure. But, it was just, you make it, you do what you got to do in life. And like I said, if it wasn't for my upbringing of knowing who I was.
And you were a street guy, too.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't mean this in any derogatory word, but you were not a bow tie. You were not a bow tie jewel thief.
No, our parents didn't have money and all this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You knew the streets.
That's what you knew.
That's exactly.
And that's how you got to read people. And how you got to you learn and you absorb information from playing gin every day.
Yeah.
With the guys.
And it's the same thing in undercover. You knew especially with the mob. There's certain rules. That the mafia has. I mean, it's crazy.
I almost want to say had. But I don't know.
Well, maybe,
you know what I mean.
No, you're right.
It's changed. It's changed. But it's actually more dangerous, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, because these guys
kids,
today,
they make a name for themselves. They're hopped up on drugs.
Yeah,
and then fucking kill somebody.
That's the thing. The guys I hung around with never used drugs. Drugs was a way to make money.
I was just gonna say. Now we all made money on it. There was
I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm saying is
pizza connection, all that.
They never used it. These kids today, and I saw that near the end, and I always told up my people, that's going to be one of the downfalls of the mob, because I see these younger guys using this shit. And
well, I think also the laws, the RICO, and the rats,
but what I'm saying is, once we take care of the older guys, these young guys can't fill that void.
And here's why they can't. And I told this to somebody. I think Mike and I talked about these kids today are trying to live off the reputations of their fathers.
Exactly.
They don't got the brains or the balls, And the first thing they do, they got 401ks, they got money in the bank, and they say, fuck this, I'm not going to prison for that fucking guy. I'll do this, I'll do, you know. And we grew up poor. My dad was a construction guy. He built the World Trade Center. That was his big deal. I mean, that was
had bars. You know, I mean,
and you know how hustling and work he had to do. He's out there fucking 7 days a week.
And he worked in a dye house.
You know, it's funny.
Nobody had one job, right?
No, you can even me. I used to bounce for a card game and bookmaking, whatever. Yeah, I'm talking about. We didn't have money, so it wasn't like there was something to fall back on.
That's exactly right.
It was you either made it in the streets, and that's why I always tell people to this day, if you want to hire someone, hire a New Yorker. The hustle street New Yorker, you can't beat them.
That's exactly right.
And they got the brains, they're quick thinkers. My son is like this because he grew up. My son was 7 when I went to prison, just turned 7. I got out when he was 18. Thank God I have great relationships. My daughter was 15 months old. I got out when she was 13.
Wow.
Hurts,
that's tough.
But I have very good relationships with my kids. I used to write them letters, Joe, in prison. 1, 2, blank, blank, you know, and to make her fill them out. She used to say to this day, she goes, you know, my father used to send me homework from prison. This is, she says, but you know, we're very close.
Yeah,
with my
but
kids.
you know, see, that's the thing too, is that, you know, you were a thief, but you
robber, but yeah, same thing. I got it.
Okay, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we took over stores, but I got it.
But you had an inner side.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You weren't thinking, I'm going to go in and rob this, and if the guy confronts me, I'm going to kill him.
I always said I will never kill him. We used a BB gun.
Right.
How's that?
Now today, you think they care?
We used the BB gun. That's how I beat the gun charge. Charged with the gun charge. We're getting shot at. If I even said that if I had a gun, you don't think I'd at least shot in the air? The fuck, I got a BB gun. What's gonna happen then?
What are you gonna do?
Right? Because we didn't go in there in intent. And if we would have got busted, we would have got busted, and that was the end of the deal. And
your main objective was money to rob the place. But today they go in thinking, if I get confronted, I'm gonna shoot.
Hopped up, they don't care, they don't have respect for anybody.
No.
And I think that is a big problem. But you know, I gotta give this, I'm gonna go push back a hair. I see a lot of young people because I do the reality check program, and I'm feeling better about young people because there is such a core group. I don't know how big and where it is, that are innovative, they're thinkers, they're so good in technology. So I don't want to give up on young people. I don't. No. Because not as the scumbags that are just fucking lazy, call them what they are, and you know they don't want it, and they want it today, fucking now. I want to be the millionaire now. They don't go work for the fucking shit.
Well, you know that's one of the reasons why the mob isn't what it used to be. You know, the old timers. I mean,
they'd make nickels and dimes,
and they knew that it took time to cultivate the police. It took time to cultivate a judge. It took time to cultivate a politician.
Mayor, like I did,
Right? You think these guys today, these young gangsters, can cultivate anybody?
They don't know how to speak to people, and that's the problem. You know, it's funny. Did you know Cara Capper and Eppolito?
No, I didn't know them personally.
You know, they were from Brooklyn or in the area, and you know, I remember them coming in. I didn't know what they were doing. Obviously, we didn't know it, but we had cops that used to get us license plate numbers. I mean, matter of fact, funny story. I don't know if you heard of this story. It was in Brooklyn. Cop goes partying, gave him a little door, whatever he done. He goes home to his house. He's getting a blowjob from a girl, and he blows her brains out. Don't even ask me why. Comes downstairs. He ends up getting off. I mean, he went, I guess, whatever they gave him, you know, menthol or whatever. Who would do that anyway? What happens if he closed her mouth? Anyway, kills the girl. Go. So happened that I gave $300 to the cop for uniforms. That's what he told me. And we used to get license, but that was normal. Everybody did shit like that. And I literally go say, Larry, let me $300. I gotta get uniforms. I got this big thing coming up. Sure. He writes down Larry, Florida, puts in his pocket, but he goes, me $300. I get a call. He get a call and said, hey Larry, the DTs are looking for you. The fuck they looking for me now? Why didn't do shit? They go, no, you gotta. So I call my lawyer. He says, you know the drill. Find out what it is. Blah blah blah. I go call. They go, we want to talk to you about when you coming back. I said, I'm in Brooklyn every month. I said, oh, come on. I go to 6-8.
Yeah.
So I go down to fucking 6-8, and fucking detective goes, yeah, you know this cop? Yeah, crazy shit. I mean, we all knew he hung out in the bar, you know. Yeah. Fucking kidding me? Yeah, you got Larry Florida. And I started laughing. The cop goes, they're thinking, oh, it was a payoff or some bullshit. I said, no, the guy wanted uniforms. I don't know what the hell he did. I don't even know why he killed himself. Why did he, unless he was just bullshitting me and getting the money for drugs, because he was up on drugs or whatever. I just got the biggest kick out of that. I said, Jesus, I'm thinking, what the fuck? When you hear the DTs are looking for you.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, where'd they go? Where'd I do? Did I make a mistake?
You're the worst, right?
Oh, did I make a mistake?
Yeah.
Get the lawyer. You know how all that works. As your FBI, obviously, career was 26 years. A lot of it was undercover, wasn't it?
Yeah, out of it was 27. I was.
And you don't recommend that anymore, do you, with any of them? You said earlier.
No. I was involved in the program for like 20 out of the 27.
Wow.
Yeah.
And with 6 of this, would anything in that kind of like thing, or did you travel to do it as well? Like, did you have to go to other states, or?
Yeah, I did undercover operations in other states. I did a lot of undercover operations with. I did several with Scotland Yard.
So they knew who you were, and they wanted you
exactly.
to do something and make a deal, or whatever.
Yeah.
Usually, I'm sure drugs or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with stocks, bonds, credit cards.
Big stuff, yeah. Now it's so crazy today. Now they're robbing you fucking on the internet from fucking cash can or whatever the fuck they're robbing you. I get robbed. I get hit on my credit card.
I know.
Oh boy, they got me. You know.
Yeah.
You know, they even have crazier things today. But I always look at a guy like you who was successful in your career, and I always look for why. I mean, that's just somebody in me who's a guy who likes. I hang out with a lot of successful people, period. I mean, it's just the way you do. You gravitate.
Sure,
I was successful in my career, and they understand it. And then I look. What do you think? What was the single one thing that made you successful? Was it where you grew up, or what?
I think a combination. Yeah, where I grew up, and I never judged anybody. In other words, I didn't. Larry's your target. I want to know everything about Larry. Then when I went after you, I didn't give a shit that you were a jewel thief.
Right. It was your job.
It didn't make any difference to me. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and I think that's one of the problems today with some of the people in law enforcement. They take it personal. I didn't take it personal. I didn't care that these guys were mafia guys, murderers, because that's what they did.
Yeah, well, just because you hate them is not going to change the whole fucking system.
It's not going to make any difference.
Right.
And I think that's one, because it kept me thinking about my job and not about, I got to meet that piece of shit today. I got to meet that guy,
Yeah, I don't want to do this shit. Fuck him, he's a scumbag or whatever.
To me, hey, look, you chose your life. You chose to be a gangster. You were a gangster before I got there. You were a gangster while I was there, and you're going to be a gangster after I leave.
Right.
Even if you go to jail, you're still.
Most of them, absolutely.
You're still going to,
100%. And I really believe what you said is, because I'm a believer and I don't judge anybody for anything.
No,
First of all, there's one judge. Someday I'm going to get fucking judged.
That's exactly.
And you know
right.
what? I try to do what I can, and I help a lot of people. I do a lot, and the chips fall.
And that's what you're going to be judged by. What you're doing now.
But I agree. Anything else you want to pay on the Donnie Brasco, just to come full circle? First of all, I'd like to support you. You got a podcast out, and is it?
Yeah, I have a podcast out with Leo Rossi, who is
my
also
friend,
a good friend of yours, and it's called Deep Cover: The Real Donnie Brasco. And as I mentioned, we had 19 episodes the first season, and I think we have 4 in the can now, but we haven't released this. We're just starting.
How's it going? I mean,
it's going great.
You guys out there, if you have not watched the movie, go to Netflix, go anywhere, just type in Donnie Brasco. I'll put a link in it in the below. Make sure we're going to do that. So you click on the link. I'm going to put up Joe's bio up there, so you can look at Joe's bio and his podcast. We'll put a couple of links under this thing too.
I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure.
We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And great talking to you.
Good
Anything else you want to tell my audience before I close?
God bless.
I always tell you guys, just make good choices. Try to do the right thing every day. Try to help somebody. One little good thing a day. Open a door for an old lady. Carry a package. Do one good a day at Mushrooms. Make good choices. And have fun. Live your life.
Exactly.
Have a good one.
Take care.